Check. It's recording, Mark.
Check. Testing. 1, 2, 3. Hello. Come in, Nashville. Hello.
I can hear you. All right, we're back. Coming to you live from the bunker in Nashville. My buddy Mark over in England himself. Back for part 2 of this breakdown of From Russia with Love. And what we got to do, and Mark pointed out to me in our little intermission, that we do not have a plot summary. So I'm going to break down. Yeah, I'm going to read to you real quick, the best I can. So plot, where am I at? From Russia with Love differs from Fleming's previous Bond novels in that the first, differs. I'm reading this from something. Previous Bond novels in that the first third of the novel revolves around Smersh's executioner, Red Grant, which is we know as Robert Shaw, as well as the organization, Smersh itself. This is also the first novel in which Bond receives a gadget from Q Branch, although Q himself is not featured. And I think that's in the book, not necessarily the movie. The book contains a series of elaborate plots and counterplots between the British and the Soviet intelligence agencies. It begins with Smersh, the Soviet assassination agency, seeking to redeem itself from a series of failures that have led some within the Soviet government to criticize the organization. Smersh plans to commit a grand act of terrorism in the intelligence field. For this, Smersh has targeted British Secret Service agent Commander James Bond, due in part to Bond's defeat of Le Chiffre
in Casino Royale.
Royale.
The movies have mixed up the order. So, yeah.
Exactly, which throws it off if you're watching the movies. Bond is declared as an enemy of the Soviet Union and has been issued a death warrant for immediate execution to be killed with ignominy.
Maximum prejudice.
Dang. So it says here, mainly through the agency, Colonel Kronstein, the chess playing master planner, and Colonel Rosa Klebb, Smersh lays a trap for Bond by setting the pretty young cipher clerk, Corporal Tatiana Romanova. You have to correct me. I'm like Josh reading stuff here. Now she's going to pretend to defect from her post in Istanbul, claiming to have fallen in love with Bond after seeing his photograph. As an added incentive, Tatiana will provide the British agent with a Spectre decoder, a prize much coveted by the British Secret Service.
Lecter, not Spectre. Lecter.
Well, in here it's called Spectre.
Oh, is it?
In what I'm reading, but yes, it is. Okay. It's the Lecter. Yes. The ultimate goal is for James Bond assassination and to cause a scandal. In Istanbul, Bond meets Darko Karim. Jesus, I'm trying to. My screen is smaller than I'm reading. If you see the way I'm looking on the camera, I'm actually trying to read something small here. Bond likes this man on sight. The two men spend a great deal of time together over the next few days because Karim believes Bond should not sit in one place and wait for Tatiana to approach him.
Yeah, they all think it's a big trap.
Yeah, sure.
It is.
During this time, Bond not only sees more of Istanbul than he ever wanted, but he becomes involved with a plot against Karim by a local gang who work for the Soviets. This plot has nearly killed Karim once with a bomb, and they attack Bond and Karim a second time while they are visiting a gypsy friend of Karim's. Karim decides he must take out their leader in order to stop these attacks. Bond goes with Karim and watches as he executes this man in cold blood.
Yeah, so there's bits of the movie, bits of the novel.
Yeah. Let's move on to the fun stuff. That's enough of the plot for now. Let's get to the fun. So where we left off after Q introduces us to the briefcase and some of the gadgets, which I think is just awesome.
So M's got Bond in. He's giving him his mission. There's this Lecter decoding device. Apparently, this woman's seen Bond's picture. She's going to defect with it. They want to get their hands on it, but it's all secretly a pop by Spectre to avenge the death of Dr. No in the previous movie. So that's where we get to. And then, Q, first appearance of Q, brings in the first gadget, which is that very cool briefcase with all bits and bobs inside it.
Yeah, because
Bond... he's got to go off to Istanbul where he meets, Karim Bey.
Bond, the lore, the legend of Bond is the gadgets is the biggest part of it, right?
Well, yeah. Well, there's
I
always
mean, besides the coolness and the
yeah.
martinis
I
and all
mean,
that. But
they do get ridiculous after time. But if you think about it, in the war, again, going back to Fleming's experiences in the war, there was an organization called the Special Operations Executive, and it was all about working behind enemy lines, trying to defeat German intelligence. And they'd have little tiny gadgets like compasses in bars of soap and things like things like that. So the attaché case, the briefcase with all the gadgets in it, is just an evolution of the things that were going on in the war. So there were
yeah,
those sort of gadgets for those sort of men in the field. But Aston Martins with ejector seats that come later, I mean, it starts to get a bit ridiculous.
you're saying that's not an option if you go to buy a new Aston
Oh
Martin?
well, I know, maybe
Maybe for the
I'd
right
like,
price, it can be.
for the right price, anything's possible. Yeah.
So speaking of the cars, I loved when they were in Istanbul, the little car, and I'll put a picture of it up when I edit the episode, so there'll be a picture here. If you recall, they had the little car that not that Bond and was in, the ones that were following.
All right,
Do
okay.
you remember the conversation?
Well,
How
the one where he's got the guy tied up in the back seat.
yes,
Yeah, yeah,
these little cars again because coming from America, cars are big over here. We don't have
yeah. European cars are a lot smaller than you're used to. Yeah.
but I like it. Like that's a really cool looking little car. So I
Mm.
love that. There's a great it's a little line that I caught, and I'm sure Mark you would appreciate it, and maybe those that listen that are coffee drinkers.
Yeah.
When they're in Kareem's office, and he
Oh,
says,
black, very sweet. He likes
"Medium sweet."
medium sweet. That's right. Yeah.
2 coffees, medium sweet, and I'm like,
Medium sweet.
"The hell's mediums?" I've never heard that term in my life.
Have you not?
No, I've not, and I'm fascinated by Bond coffee,
A
medium
medium
sweet.
sweet, black, very black.
So let's see. The next scene I want to share. This I love this, and we can watch and talk about it. Mark, you can do a little commentary of it. Let me find what I'm looking for.
So he goes to Istanbul, flies off. It's all very glamorous. And again, don't forget, this is 1963. Flying off to somewhere like Istanbul was, a very glamorous
Yeah.
thing to do. So instantly, Bond's very cool. He's traveling the world. He's coming into his hotel room, and look how great he looks. Look at the suit that he's wearing. Look how good he looks walking into that room. Tossing
Now
the
this is what I
briefcase.
like. Watch how smooth he puts money in his pocket. Bam. Thank you, sir.
Effortlessly tips the guy. Yeah, he's totally in control.
But Bond is now. This is the life he has to check
Yeah,
constantly.
just casually checks everything, makes sure it's not bugged, which of course it probably is. But look at how good he looks in that suit.
He does, man. I mean, he's just
Yeah.
perfect. He's like nothing there.
Well, apparently, they doubled the budget. It's $2 million.
Yeah.
The budget for this one. Apparently, he got 8 custom-made Savile Row suits for this film.
Now here we
to
go.
wear. And each
Here's
one
where it
was
goes
$2,000.
south.
Oh look, here we go. Here's the bug. Look at that suit. Love it.
Now here's what I like here coming up. Let me turn that music down because we'll probably get a copyright infringement
What,
on
the twist
that.
of the chandelier?
Not this. Just after this, you'll see, and I'll wait for you to see it so we can reveal together. He's checking. He's like, wait a minute.
Oh yeah, check the phone. He gets his thing out.
Now watch this. Remember now this is cool. The continuity. He opens the briefcase correctly. They could have easily just let that slip, but he does it right. And watch this. He's got this little device.
Yeah.
Whatever the heck that is. And now he's going to order up.
No, the room won't do.
Yeah. So
I
he doesn't
just love
like
the way he
room.
looks. Those suits, he looks fantastic.
So at this point here, Mark, are they working? They're working for, or they're under?
Yeah, they're in on it with Spectre. I think they're working for Russian intelligence with Spectre playing everyone. They want him to move his room because they want to film him in the room.
Yeah, which I'll address later, which is a little
Yeah.
creepy, but I
He
did.
knows. Bond knows it's all going to be bugged. He knows they're going to be looking at him. He's just playing.
Yeah, but the interesting thing is that it plays well. Let me close this up here. It plays well in the later on in the movie. The scene that we just talked about, we'll get to eventually. So I love the gadgets. We talked earlier about Kleb's her character. The one thing I found interesting, and I did some reading on it, is in the movie, and I'll have a picture posted on this. She has these Coke bottle thick glasses on.
Yeah, yeah, she does. Yeah,
So the fascinating thing is, and again, it's just a small continuity error, but she has to put those on to read, right? She's
yeah,
reading something, and she puts these glasses on that are just, I mean, thick. But for everything else she does in her life, she doesn't need them.
yeah.
It's a little weird. I don't know. I don't think they did need. And I read in doing some research that with what's her name, Daniela.
Daniele
She said
Bianchi.
when filming those scenes, she said it was hard for her because the glasses like hurt her eyes
If you couldn't see, yeah.
because she couldn't in real life. She didn't need glasses
Mm.
like that. So anyway, I thought that was fun. So after this scene that we just saw, and I tried to get a clip of it, but I could not find a good clip of it. I was fascinated by the underground cistern and the periscope
Oh, the submarine periscope that he
that,
uses.
that
So,
Karam has
so the Lecter machine is in the Russian consulate. So he's
yeah.
somehow got to get in there to get this thing. But they've got secret underground sewer system under Istanbul, and Kerim Bey manages to take Bond. It's a little boat, isn't it? A little punt. They
Yeah,
go
like a little dinghy.
little dinghy under the water, and they get underneath the Russian consulate, and they've got this place bugged. And he's got an old submarine periscope
Yeah.
which he manages to push up, which goes up into the Russian intelligence meeting room, so they can see what's going on. It's very good.
Well, I mean, and there's so much like how do you get that there? How do you get
How
that
do you
in
get
there?
that in there? Yeah.
How do you get it installed?
Mm,
And then they never move. It only works in the one room,
mm.
which. But again, it feeds
It's
the
Bond.
story.
Great.
So from there, we go to this scene, Mark. That this was fantastic in the book, and it did not disappoint too much in the movie. I'm going to bring this up to you here.
What's
You'll
that?
know exactly what I'm talking
Oh, the
about.
gypsy fight. Yeah, yeah. Again, an iconic Bond scene. These two girls going at it. So Kerim Bey takes him out to the gypsies who are going to help him get this
Look at him.
Lecter thing. And yeah, they're just vicious. These two girls have got a grievance. I think they want the same man or something, don't they? So they're
Yeah,
going to
so
settle
in the
it with a
book,
fight.
what it is they both love the same man.
That's it. Yeah.
And in the book, it's a fight to the death.
Oh, is it to the death? Is it? Yeah.
It's a fight to the death.
Yeah,
The
these two mean
winner,
it.
whoever stays alive, gets to marry the guy, which is interesting because the guy in
And,
the book
and,
is
and,
sending the
and
guy off.
another little point. I mean, it's quite well known, but one of the girls, this one in the green top, I think her name it's Martine Beswick, and she ends up in Thunderball. So 2 films later, she works as his assistant when he goes out to the Bahamas looking for the Vulcan bomber. So
and
she turns up in the next Bond movie in
so
Thunderball.
an interesting thing too is these two women and
Look at them; they mean it.
Tatiana or Daniela, as her real name is, they were all beauty pageant winners. These are beauty
That's right.
queens.
Tatiana, Daniela Bianchi, I think, was Miss Universe or was runner-up to Miss Universe.
Stunning woman.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
But so yeah, we're watching this fight scene, and like I said, in the book, it's a fight to the death. They don't show it here because the movie needs to move in a slightly different direction.
Yeah, but you can
and
tell
it does.
They mean it. They want to kill each other. Look at it.
But yeah, they're trying to kill each other. And again, the storyline is this guy, this gypsy guy, he's sent off. And he comes back to find out which one of these two girls he gets to marry because she's killed the other one.
All right, okay.
Now, what I find interesting is, so we got this scene here where they break it up and there's all this hoo-ha nonsense. But after this scene, again, keep in mind, the two girls are fighting because they love one man. But they go spend the evening with James Bond.
With Bond, yeah.
And he gets to decide which one because they don't, because
yeah.
nobody dies in the scene. So in the movie, these two women who love one man are going to kill each other for the one man are both going to share James
Bond. Yeah, but that's
Bond.
the amazing appeal of James Bond. I mean, everybody loves him. Men want to be him. Women want to be with him, Andy.
Yeah, before they go off to marry the guy that they would kill another one for, I'm going to spend a night with Bond. James Bond. So I thought that was interesting to say the least. I'll leave it there. I like that scene though, and I loved it in the book. It was really fascinating. Just again because I'm like, where was he? where was Ian Fleming's mind? Like, he just created all this stuff. It's fascinating, and it sounds ridiculous when we talk about it now, but it when you're reading the book, it plays well. It goes well, and then in the movie, it's an interesting little side scene. I
Again,
like it.
Fleming knew his stuff. I mean, espionage and spies in the war. It was his bread and butter. It was his life. So,
And I think at some point deep down, we all want a little nonsense. We don't want everything to have to make perfect sense. Sometimes you just want to read a book and enjoy it. The same way
yeah.
I say about movies, they don't have to be. Not all of them are going to be, you know, Citizen Kane. Some are just
Yeah.
going to be nonsensical movies, and that's what sometimes you get. So we talked to the death. We did that. Um, there's a scene that we talked about briefly, the two-way mirror scene, which is a little at the time when
So
I was
yeah, so
watching it.
he gets to Istanbul, and Daniele Bianchi, Tatiana
Bianchi.
Romana. Yeah,
Yes.
she's a trap. She's not really defecting. She's just trying to lure Bond in, and yeah, so she ends up in his hotel room in wearing not very much and seduces him.
Well,
But
again,
what they don't know is it's all being filmed behind a two-way mirror
so
to
that's the thing. So
blackmail Bond.
my question was, A, do you think Tatiana knew?
No,
And then B, again, brief nudity at that scene.
yeah, yeah.
Remember, Bond's in the shower
Mm.
and he
Well,
hears somebody in his room.
at the time, I think that scene was very heavily edited. There was lots of shenanigans about it because it was such a risque scene for the time. I mean, she's wearing nothing except a little choke around her neck. I mean, she's a
Yeah,
very
I mean,
beautiful woman,
well,
and
when Bond,
they're clearly going to end up having sex. That's what she's there for, and they're being filmed. That it's all a blackmail
yeah,
plot. They're being filmed.
very
It was quite
voyeuristic.
risque for the time. I believe there was quite a lot of censorship involved with it.
And again,
But no,
spoilers.
She didn't know. She thought she was there to seduce Bond, but she didn't know she was being filmed. No.
Well, and one thing I was slightly, and maybe slightly confused was throughout the movie, does she really want to defect and be with Bond towards the end, or she's still just playing the part?
Well, I mean, she's an unwitting pawn at the beginning because she thinks Rosa Klebb still works for SMERSH, Russian
Right.
intelligence. She doesn't. Rosa Klebb's now working for Spectre. It's all a plot to revenge themselves on James Bond. So she doesn't know about the filming or everything else. She's being lied to. So as the film carries on, yeah, she eventually ends up wanting to defect and be with Bond because she falls in love with him.
Okay, that's the way I took it, but I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can be a little dense sometimes when watching movies. So I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe I'm just misreading this. Um, so let's see, we go to let's cut to the bombing of the Russian embassy, whatever you want to call it, the consulate.
So I've got to get into the consulate to get the Lecter. So the bombing is a distraction. So Bond can get in there, get the decoding machine, get her, get out, and then hop on the Orient Express and get away.
Right. So in the book, it's different. There's no bombing of the building. In the book, Tatiana works at an office, agency, whatever.
Yeah, she's a cipher clerk, isn't she?
Right. And she's going to sneak out and take the Lecter machine with her.
Right.
And the buildup is the train scene where Bond's like, because in the book, he's trying to get her on a plane.
Oh, is
But
he?
she has to keep him on the train because of the assassination has to happen on the train.
Yeah.
So as I'm watching the movie, I'm like, oh, this is all different. Like they kept the train scene, but the lead up to it, they did the bombing of the Russian building. So for those of you who haven't read the book, or if you have, you'll notice these differences because there's this really tense build up to her being at the train because the train's leaving the station and Bond's waiting to try to get her, and she's running and all that stuff. And there's Russian agents watching her, watching him. It's really this intense scene.
Yeah.
But in the movie, it's just there's a bomb. He steals the Lecter, and they all get on the train and move on, which is pretty cool. And well, before we leave off this section of the episode, I don't want to bypass how freaking hot Tatiana is.
Oh, she's stunning,
Smoking hot.
Yeah, she's stunning looking lady.
I mean, it's one thing.
She was a runner-up for Miss Universe or something like that before she became an actress. But then, strangely, I don't think she did many movies after From Russia with Love. I don't
know.
remember.
And she had to learn English
Yeah.
for the film. And
I
from my
think they dubbed
understanding,
her in the end. They dubbed her
they
line. Yeah.
they dubbed someone had to do it because I watched an interview with her afterwards,
Mm,
and she was speaking in I believe Italian is her native
mm,
tongue.
okay.
Anyway, well, Mark, let's wrap this episode up and we'll jump into the next one and people can pick it up there. So everybody
Okay.
tune in next episode and we will pick up this story. We'll finish up the movie. Then we will talk about some Bond from Russia with Love tidbits, facts, and trivia. So
Good night. Farewell.
Bond. This has been a Touch of Madness production, brought to you by the creative minds at Tommy Twins Media.